a defective ground fault circuit interrupter, GFCI device on the T-pole, and a delayed final inspection for a home are connected because of a few potential reasons. Firstly, electrical safety concerns. A defective GFCI device can pose an electrical safety hazard, potentially leading to electrocution or electrical fires. The T-pole is the point of connection for the electrical service to the home. A faulty GFCI device there could affect the reliability and safety of the electrical supply to the entire home. Secondly, building code compliance. Building codes typically require all electrical fixtures and devices to be in good working order and compliant with safety standards. A defective GFCI device on the T-pole may violate building code requirements, potentially delaying final inspection until it is corrected. Thirdly, insurance implications. Homeowners' insurance policies may require that all electrical systems and devices in the home are in proper working order. A defective GFCI device on the T-pole could affect the validity of the homeowner's insurance policy, potentially delaying final settlement and closing. Fourthly, confusion or miscommunication is a factor. It is possible that there was a misunderstanding or miscommunication between the construction manager, CM, and the home inspector. The CM may have assumed that the defective GFCI device would automatically fail the final inspection, while the inspector did not view it as a critical issue. Fifthly, overzealous inspection is a possibility. In some cases, CM can be overly cautious and require that every minor issue be corrected before granting final inspection. While it is important to ensure that homes are safe and compliant, it is also important to be reasonable and not delay closing unnecessarily over minor issues that do not pose an immediate safety hazard. It is worth noting that the specific reasons for the delayed final inspection may vary depending on the local building codes, insurance requirements, and the discretion of the CM. In this situation, it is best to communicate with the CM directly to clarify their concerns and find a reasonable solution that addresses the issue without unnecessarily delaying closing. In the 2008 National Electrical Code, NEC, there are several articles that could be relevant to this situation. Article 210.8 discusses GFCI protection for personnel. It specifies where GFCI protection is required in dwelling units and other locations. A defective GFCI receptacle would clearly violate this requirement. Article 230 covers services. While it doesn't specifically mention GFCI protection at the T-pole, it does cover the general requirements for the service entrance, including the equipment and wiring used to supply power to the building. A defective GFCI could be seen as a defect in the service equipment. Article 110.3 covers examination, identification, installation, and use of equipment. It requires that all equipment be installed and used in accordance with the instructions included in the listing or labeling. A defective GFCI would not meet this requirement. Article 90.4 discusses enforcement. It states that the authority having jurisdiction, OJ, has the responsibility for interpreting and enforcing the NEC. The CM in this case is acting as the AHJ, and their interpretation of the code is what ultimately matters. The NEC does not specifically define what constitutes a minor issue that should not delay final inspection. This is left to the discretion of the AHJ. However, the NEC does emphasize the importance of electrical safety. A defective GFCI could be seen as a significant safety hazard, even if it is a relatively inexpensive repair. It is important to understand the purpose of a GFCI. A GFCI is designed to protect people from electrical shock. It does this by monitoring the current flowing in the circuit. If the current flowing out of the circuit is different from the current flowing back in, the GFCI will trip, cutting off the power. This difference in current could occur if someone is touching a live wire. The GFCI will trip much faster than a circuit breaker, which can prevent serious injury or death. GFCI protection is required in areas where there is a high risk of electrical shock, such as bathrooms, kitchens, and outdoor locations. The T-pole is considered an outdoor location, which is why GFCI protection is required. When a GFCI receptacle is defective, it may not trip where it should, or it may trip unnecessarily. This can create a safety hazard. If the GFCI does not trip when it should, someone could receive an electrical shock. If the GFCI trips unnecessarily, it can be a nuisance, but it can also disrupt power to important equipment. The cost of replacing a GFCI receptacle is relatively low, typically around $5. However, the cost of not replacing a defective GFCI receptacle can be much higher, including the risk of electrical shock, fire, and legal liability. The CM decision to delay final inspection over a defective GFCI receptacle is understandable, given the potential safety hazards and code violations. While it may be frustrating to have closing delayed over such a minor issue, it is important to remember that the CM is ultimately responsible for ensuring the safety of the home and its occupants. To resolve the issue, the GFCI receptacle should be replaced as soon as possible. The replacement should be a UL-listed GFCI receptacle that is rated for outdoor use. The installation should be performed by a qualified electrician. Once the GFCI receptacle has been replaced, the CM should be notified and provided with proof of the repair. The CM should then be able to grant final inspection and allow closing to proceed. In some cases, the CM may require a re-inspection to verify that the repair has been made correctly. If the CM is being unreasonable in their demands, it may be necessary to appeal their decision to a higher authority, such as the local building department. However, this should be a last resort. It is always best to try to resolve the issue through communication and cooperation. The situation highlights the importance of regular electrical inspections. Regular inspections can help to identify potential problems before they become safety hazards. Inspections should be performed by a qualified electrician. The electrician should inspect all electrical equipment, including wiring, outlets, switches, and appliances. The electrician should also test all GFCI receptacles to ensure that they are working properly. Any problems that are found should be repaired as soon as possible. Regular electrical inspections can help to prevent electrical shock, fire, and other electrical hazards. They can also help to ensure that the electrical system is in compliance with the NEC and other applicable codes. In addition to regular inspections, homeowners should also be aware of the signs of a defective GFCI receptacle. These signs include the following. Firstly, the GFCI receptacle does not trip when the test button is pressed. Secondly, the GFCI receptacle trips frequently for no apparent reason. Thirdly, the GFCI receptacle feels warm to the touch. Fourthly, the GFCI receptacle is cracked or damaged. If any of these signs are present, the GFCI receptacle should be replaced immediately. Replacing a GFCI receptacle is a relatively simple task that can be done by a qualified electrician. However, it is important to follow all safety precautions when working with electricity. The power to the circuit should be turned off at the breaker box before any work is done. The GFCI receptacle should be tested after it has been replaced to ensure that it is working properly. In conclusion, a defective GFCI receptacle on the T-pole can delay a home's final inspection due to electrical safety concerns, code compliance issues, and insurance implications. While it may be frustrating to have closing delayed over such a minor issue, it is important to remember that the CM is ultimately responsible for ensuring the safety of the home and its occupants. To resolve the issue, the GFCI receptacle should be replaced as soon as possible and the CM should be notified. Regular electrical inspections and awareness of the signs of a defective GFCI receptacle can help to prevent electrical hazard.